Breaking tonight, the Department of Homeland Security is investigating whether or not someone in their agency may have contributed to a rumor about an alleged affair involving House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Congresswoman Renee Elmers. James Rosen is in Washington with the latest on this story for us. James.
Sandra, good evening. Republican Congresswoman Renee Elmers of North Carolina is speaking out on these allegations of an extramarital affair between her and House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, saying in a statement, quote, "As someone who has been targeted by completely false accusations and innuendo, I have been moved by the outpouring of support and prayers from my colleagues, constituents, and friends. Now I will be praying," Elmers said, "for those who find it acceptable to bear false witness." Yesterday, amid the tumult of McCarthy's withdrawal from the race for Speaker, someone amended the Wikipedia entries for the two lawmakers so that their biographies in the online encyclopedia that is edited by the public at large would include these rumors of an affair, which both lawmakers have denied. Reporter Lachlan Markey of the conservative outlet The Washington Free Beacon noticed that the changes to the Wikipedia pages appeared to have been made from a computer located inside the federal government. Markey posted a screen grab indicating that the IP address for this computer was located at the Department of Homeland Security. DHS officials say they have launched an internal investigation into the matter with, quote, "immediate and appropriate disciplinary action awaiting anyone who used government property in such a manner." However, neither of the two lawmakers has been contacted by DHS. The agency's probe follows a separate one recently launched by the DHS Inspector General, examining whether anyone in the Secret Service, which is housed within the Department of Homeland Security, played a role in last April's disclosure in a story published in the Daily Beast that Congressman Jason Chaffetz had applied to and been rejected by the Secret Service over a decade ago. The Utah Republican is a frequent critic of the Secret Service, and he made headlines earlier this week when he announced on Fox News Sunday that he was challenging McCarthy in the Speaker's race. Sandra.
All right, James, thank you. News of McCarthy's decision not to seek the House speakership surprised many D.C. insiders who considered him a top contender for the job. But it also led to 2 days, you may have noticed, of mainstream media outlets mocking the GOP. Today's top story, it's this Washington whiplash. Congressional Republicans in turmoil.
You want to talk about chaos at the Capitol.
Can anybody in the Republican Party deal with them?
For right now, it doesn't look like anybody can.
The place is impossible to run right now.
The problem is there aren't that many people who want to lead a party that's this divided.
Is the tail wagging the dog?
Well, there's wagging all over the place. I mean, the dogs are running amok.
And then, to the surprise of everyone, Republicans pulled the silverware drawer out of the kitchen cabinet and put it over their heads and shook it.
Joining me now, Howie Kurtz, the host of Media Buzz on FNC. They're having some fun with this, Howie.
They certainly are popping the champagne corks over at MSNBC. Before I get to the media hype, I just want to go back to James's report for 1 minute. It is disgraceful the way these unproven rumors about Kevin McCarthy got started on a couple of conservative websites based on nothing more than gossip and a letter from some donor, and then the next thing you know, it's the lead story in the Huffington Post, and of course it makes it to TV. I don't know whether these are true. Nobody knows whether these are true, and a few years ago, this kind of unsubstantiated trash would never have been reported. Now,
well, we know that they're both denying the affair at this point.
Yeah,
but as
that's
far as
pretty important.
As far as the Wikipedia edits, a spokeswoman for DHS says that the agency is still looking into all of this, Howie. But they're at the root of all of this seems to be, which you just saw the mainstream media painting a picture of, you heard the words, chaos coming from the party, from the GOP, among other words that you heard used. It does seem like there's a little bit of dancing in the streets after we have seen John Boehner quitting, Kevin McCarthy bowing out of the race. It is a bit of a mess. Do you agree? Is it fair?
Well, for those of us inside the Beltway bubble, this is a very big story. And I saw New York Times, USA Today using that word chaos on their front pages. But look, John Boehner steps down saying he can't control his Republican caucus. Kevin McCarthy bows out because he can't unify the caucus. Half the House is begging Paul Ryan to run. He doesn't want to. Nobody knows who the next speaker is going to be. It is a little chaotic. But when you have, Rachel Maddow and Chris Matthews and people who are clearly liberal, Matthews, for example, saying on MSNBC, one of the two country's two main political parties came apart. Yes, they are treating this like Armageddon rather than the fact that it is a disputed leadership election. It reinforces their view that the hardline faction, the Freedom Caucus in the House, is a bunch of crazy hostage takers. So they are definitely enjoying this, maybe just a little too much.
It is different times for the media, and the way we do see things reported today. You've watched this over time, Howie. I mean, how is it different today than it was? There did seem to be a lot of irresponsible reporting, particularly going back to the McCarthy affair and the fact that they're still denying all of these allegations. But we did see the media just run away with this story. Times have definitely changed.
Absolutely, and it's hard to be a gatekeeper these days. In other words, to say, I'm not putting that on my air. I'm not going to put that story in my newspaper when it's spreading all over the web and social media. And as I said, it started on a couple of conservative websites that are not necessarily fans of House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. And so it would be one thing if there were texts or an email or a photograph or anyone was pointing to how this was true. Instead, it is simply gossip. It is unproven. And it pains me that our profession sometimes gets stampeded into this. Now, maybe it will turn out there's evidence, maybe not. But here, both of these members of Congress have to deny it. And at this point, it remains gossip.
Well, Howie, you sat down with a guy right in the middle of all this party stuff going on, Donald Trump. You sat down with him today about his coverage and his rivals. We will be watching for that interview on Media Buzz, airing Sunday at 11 Eastern.
Thanks, Sandra.
We will all tune in. Thank you. While the race for Speaker of the House has some media types crying chaos, Senator Rand Paul says a lot of folks are missing the real story here, and he's here next with that. And then when a well-known college committed the crime of serving Mexican food on campus, how dare they? The PC police pounced. We'll show you how this school decided to handle the complaints, and we'll hear from John Stossel on what happened to free speech at America's colleges.
The safe space is where cultures go to die.
No, these were not fragile snowflakes. These people are intimidators.
I was silenced.
It's generally the left that has the power to silence.
You should be fired. You're a disgusting person.